The Orlando Ballet is kicking off its newest season with Swan Lake. I'm News 6 producer Brooke Savage. I have Jordan Morris here. He is the artistic director with the Orlando Ballet, and he's here to tell us all about it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first off, what can people expect from Swan Lake, and why did you guys choose this as your first show?
Part of the reason I chose it for the first show, I like to open the season with live music. So we're using the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Bringing in guest conductor Gabriel Gordon, who I've worked with before on some of my other productions. So we've got live music, we've got live dance. There are 28 students from our school that are also in the production. It's a cast of over 80. It is one of the biggest, most famous, iconic ballet productions, as you know, in the repertoire. So I thought that that would just be the most exciting and brilliant way to open this season.
Wow. So like you just mentioned, there's a lot of moving parts. What does it take to put on a show like this? What is happening in the background? Like, when did you guys start putting this together?
We actually started rehearsing and putting together parts of this back in August. So we've actually been working on it for about 3 months. Mm-hmm. And right now it is just Swan Lake all day long, 7 days a week, basically. And what I tell people is it's really, when you come to the Dr. Phillips Center, it's the audience sees one show, the show that's happening on stage, but there's a second show that's happening in the pit with the orchestra. There's a third show, which is all the props and the things and the sets moving on the sides. And then there's a fourth show with all of our wig and costume changes and hair and makeup and all that. So it really is like 4 shows at one time. The audience gets the beautiful one in the front, but there's all this other stuff happening around.
That is incredible. And so what do you do as the artistic director? You guys how does this come together? Do you first meet and be like, this is what I want to do, or how does it work?
Yeah, what I will do is I will look at the seasons. I'm programming 3 seasons out right now, so I'll go, what do I want to present to the audience this season? So I will look at ballets in the repertoire and make sure that we have, our family-friendly shows, that we always bring the Nutcracker back at Christmas for that traditional Christmas show. And then I look at balancing the season out with other works by different choreographers, different stories, different styles of dance. And then I will contact the choreographers of those productions. Christopher Stoll choreographed this production of Swan Lake, and I've known Chris for a long time. And I thought, Orlando Ballet hasn't done a Swan Lake since I think 2016 or 17, so it's almost been 10 years since Orlando audiences have seen Swan Lake. And I thought, I want to do a really great production. I know Christopher Stoll has one. So I called Christopher, we talked about it, scheduled the time for him to come and cast it and rehearse it. And then we hand it off to his stagers and my artistic coaches. And then I get in there as well with the lead characters and also oversee the entire production. As I said, I find the conductor, I bring the conductor in, I get all the music departments sorted out, all the production. We're renting the sets from Canada's Royal Winnipeg Ballet. We're renting the costumes from Oregon Ballet Theatre. So there's a lot of logistics as well to just get all the assets here.
Wow.
And then teach the dance moves, and then rehearse it, perfect it, do all the costume fittings, you can just sort of see it's a mountain of work.
Yes, it does sound like it. I also think it's fitting that you're starting off your season with Swan Lake because Swan is a symbol of Orlando. I mean, I'm sure it's not on purpose, but I just thought about that.
There's always whenever I'm going to the Dr. Phillips and I see those swan boats, on the lake, I'm like, this is perfect.
Yes, exactly.
If we had an outdoor stage, we could do an outdoor Swan Lake.
That would be beautiful. And so you mentioned the show includes 85 dancers, and that includes 28 students aged 7 and up. What does it mean to these students to be part of something like this at such a major theater venue?
Yeah, well, personally, I think it's wonderful, and we are the only ballet company in Central Florida that has a school attached to us under one building at Harriet's Orlando Ballet Center. So we house all of the company, we house all of our school students, as well as our wardrobe production departments. But to be a student and have that opportunity to dance with professional dancers, in the studio, and then go with those professional dancers and be on the Steinmetz stage at DPC, it's a really unique experience for these students. And I'm so happy and proud that as an organization we get to share that, with our younger dancers and younger people.
Do you ever hear any feedback about that from the students or the parents?
Yes, they love it. They love it. The students have such a great time being at the theater and being in a dressing room for the first time. And then once they walk out on stage and they see all the lights and they see the orchestra in the pit, their eyes are just like, wow. Like that. So, and the parents love that we can provide that experience and partnership for them as well.
What about any Orlando Ballet dancers? Were they former students, or any of them former students?
80% of our company has gone through a portion of the school. So,
wow. Well, and also, like we were mentioning, Swan Lake is a big feat, and I noticed you guys mentioned the lead ballerina. She's playing both the White Swan and the Black Swan. What does it take to pull that off? How long are they on stage? How does that work?
They're on stage quite a bit, obviously, and it's one of those playing two roles. There are versions of Swan Lake where they're separate dancers. There's one female dancer does the White Swan and one female dancer. The original version, as it was choreographed 1877 by Marius Petipa and Lev Ivanov, this is sort of that pinnacle challenge for an actress dancer to be able to play the innocent White Swan, and then in Act 3 have to turn around and be the trickster Black Swan and sort of fool the prince into thinking she's the White Swan. So it's a really great dichotomy of acting and dramatics and dancing as well, because the White Swan is very soft and beautiful, and the Black Swan is very edgy and lots of spins and turns. So you've got to have really strong technique. You have to be very soft and perfectionate, and then you have to be sharp and fiery as the Black Swan. So it's a great challenge for the actress dancer that plays that role, and that's why it's such a coveted role in the ballet world, because it is so difficult.
And how has training been going for that role?
It's been going fantastic. We had a great time with Christopher Stoll when he was here, and his stager, Stephen Hauser, is still here working with the dancers. And then my team of artistic coaches also working with the students and the dancers. We are full steam ahead, and it's looking really good.
Wow. Well, I also wanted to bring up, what can people expect from the rest of the season?
For the rest of the season, well, after Swan Lake, we will literally the day after Swan Lake jump into Nutcracker rehearsals, because that is our other big, family traditional holiday production that runs through the entire month of December. Then in February, I'm bringing in a new ballet that Orlando's never seen before. It's Kenny Tyndall's Carmen. So Kenny Tyndall was here with his ballet Casanova a couple of years ago, and I wanted to bring him back because the audience really engaged with his work. The dancers really engaged with his work. So bringing him back, and his version of Carmen is absolutely exciting and fantastic. The music, the Bizet music, all that is just really wonderful. So that's going to be an amazing, exciting show. The mixed rep show that we do in March, which is 3 shorter works by different choreographers. We're going to see the return of Heath Gill's Confronting Genius. New ballet that Orlando has never seen before called Angels in the Architecture by Mark Godden. Music of Aaron Copland's Appalachian Spring. So people who know that music, please come on in. And also George Balanchine's Allegro Brilliant, which is one of the iconic Balanchine pieces that we do. So you really get a different tasting of classical, contemporary storytelling ballets all within one evening. And then we're closing the season with My Great Gatsby, So a production that we did a few years ago, and I thought it was time to bring it back and breathe some new life in it with new casts and new dancers. And again, that show will be live music with the OPO to finish the season.
Wow, that does sound exciting. So since you have a lot happening, what is the transition when it comes to auditions? Since you said right after Swan Lake, you're already going to be rehearsing for Nutcracker. Does that mean auditions have already happened for that?
That is right. We did the auditions for the students in Swan Lake and students in Nutcracker at the same time. So we could see all the students and sort of we tried to two birds with one stone. So we did both the auditions, because we're also rehearsing the students in Nutcracker right now, as well as, so there's a group of students that are in Swan Lake, and then there's some crossover to Nutcracker as well. But we're already tag teaming Nutcracker rehearsals and Swan Lake rehearsals.
Wow, it really is full steam ahead. That is incredible.
Never a dull moment at the ballet.
So tell us more about yourself, your background, how you became the artistic director for Orlando Ballet.
Well, I was a principal dancer for Canada's Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and then I also worked and toured across Europe as well as the Soviet Union. When I retired from the stage, I started to teach and coach, and then I went to work for Boston Ballet. That's where I sort of got the bug to start choreographing, because I was working with great choreographers like Chris Wheeldon and Mark Morris, Rudy von Danzig. That's where I kind of got the bug to start choreographing. And then through choreographing ballets, that led to directorships of smaller companies. And then I sort of worked my way up and had worked with Boston Ballet, Cincinnati Ballet, Pittsburgh Ballet, Atlanta Ballet, several companies. And when my agent called me and said, Orlando Ballet wants to do 3 of your big works, Peter Pan, Moulin Rouge, and The Great Gatsby, I thought it was just going to be here to stage my 3 productions. And as it happened over the course of time, I met my wife here, and I kept choreographing here, and then I was offered the directorship, which I happily took. It's a wonderful organization, great board of directors, amazing team to work with. So I've been very blessed to come for one opportunity and have that develop into a really beautiful chapter in my life.
Absolutely. It seems like a lot of people lay down roots here in Orlando and Central Florida, and it does provide so many opportunities for people in the performance industry,
That's right. Well, it's a big entertainment city anyways, and the wonderful thing is that you have a very robust commercial side, but you also have a great opera company here. We have a great philharmonic here. We have great dance here. We have great theater here. So it really does sort of, tick all the boxes for someone who's in that industry and has that passion.
Absolutely. That's so true. So how did you get into dancing?
I actually started out as a gymnast. So I was on the gymnastics team, and a couple of our coaches said, you guys should go take a ballet class. It'll help you with your flexibility, coordination, timing, all that kind of stuff. I got into the ballet class and I went, this is physical, and there's music involved, and it's creative, and it was much more than competing against a clock or trying to get the 9.9 or that, it was so much more. It still had that physical element, but it had that creative, and for me it was really the musical side of it, is that I can do something with music, weave it to the music. That's really what got me hooked. And then I sort of shifted from gymnastics more and more into dance until I went away to study professionally.
Wow, it's always funny how things work out, it happens when you least expect it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So is there anything else you want to bring up about Swan Lake or the upcoming season?
No, I would just encourage, we love our community. It's such a supportive community here, and we do what we do for the audience. So we want the audience to come and let us share our magic with you. We work so hard at it, as we've been saying, and really we do it for the audience. And I think there's a lot of great story ballets and beautiful creative works for people to enjoy this season. So I would just encourage people to come out and enjoy the magic that we put on the stage.
Absolutely. Well, I love to hear that. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Yeah. So again, Swan Lake will be at the Dr. Phillips Center October 16th through the 19th. Of course, I posted all those details on clickorlando.com/settingthestage. In the podcast studio, Brooke Savage, News 6.